On News Hour tonight, Kwara State communities on lockdown as soldiers, forest guards deploy after deadly attacks. Senate rejects electronic transmission of results. A doctor dies in Plateau State after contracting Lassa fever from a patient. On the foreign scene, Rwandan genocide suspects appeal heard in Paris court. Hello and welcome to News Hour on Trust TV. I am Muhammad Kudu Abubakar. Soldiers and forest guards have taken over Woro and Nuku communities in Kayama local government area of Kwara State to prevent further attacks following a deadly bandit invasion on Tuesday evening. Residents confirmed that security personnel have been deployed across affected communities with patrols mounted in strategic locations to restore calm and reassure locals. The death toll from the attacks has reportedly risen to 40, with several houses burnt during the violence. Many families are said to be mourning loved ones killed in the renewed onslaught. Sources in the communities allege that the attackers, believed to have come from neighboring villages in Niger State, had earlier been preaching to residents to abandon the Nigerian constitution and embrace the Holy Quran. Dissent during the preaching reportedly triggered the attack. Confirming the incident, Kwara State government said Governor Abdurrahman Abdurazak has expressed condolences to the affected families and communities. The state added that security agencies have stepped up counter-terrorism operations to prevent further violence in the area. In another development, bandits have struck Mararaban Rido community in Chikun local government area of Kaduna State, abducting two daughters of a widow during a late-night attack on Monday. The victims were identified as Deborah Edward, a co-member who completed her National Youth Service program in December 2025, and her younger sister, Rachel Edward. The report. Well, we will bring you more details when we have them. 80 survivors of the Kurmingwali attack are currently undergoing psychosocial therapy and medical treatment at a government facility following their escape from bandits who attacked the community on January the 18th, 2026. Governor Wasani visited the victims on Wednesday, expressing relief over their safe return and reaffirming the government's commitment to ensuring their full recovery. Governor Sani said he was happy that the survivors had returned home safely and assured that by the grace of Almighty God, the remaining abductees will also return safely. Interacting personally with some of the victims, Governor Sani stressed the importance of medical and psychological support for those who survived the ordeal. He added that all the returnees are undergoing psychosocial therapy, while medical doctors are conducting thorough examinations to address any health challenges.
Here with the 82 that have now returned back home safely, and of course we're here to give them assurance that the remaining, by the grace of God, they'll all be back safely by the grace of God. And I have no doubt in my mind that the rest will also be back. And of course, as you're aware, they're all here undergoing psychosocial therapy, and we are trying to ensure that our medical doctors check them very well. And of course, we know that they've gone through a lot of trauma, and of course, it is very difficult situation. And as a government, it's our responsibility to ensure that all of them are certified medically fit. And of course, some of them have had some very minor injuries, as you can see, but I'm happy that they are all recovering, and they have met them in a high spirit.
Still in Kaduna, as we told you earlier, bandits have struck Mararaban Radio community in Chikun local government area of Kaduna State, abducting two daughters of a widow during a late-night attack on Monday. Bello Musa is now ready with the report.
The assailants stormed the family residence late at night, forcefully breaking in and abducting two sisters. The incident occurred barely 2 weeks after the abduction of worshippers in Kurmiwali community, heightening concerns over the resurgence of insecurity in parts of Kaduna State.
We were sleeping in the room when I heard a bang and they forced their way into the house. I quickly ran into my children's room and told them to dress up, and we began to pray. They checked, but they couldn't see us. They later went to the back of the children's room and heard us praying. Then they broke the window while others broke the door to gain entrance into the room.
Mrs. Edward, a widow, told journalists that she was initially abducted alongside her daughters and a visitor, Priscilla Bala, who had come to spend the night at the house. She said the attackers later released her after her daughters pleaded for her life, explaining she was their only surviving parent.
I said let them go with me, but my children said no. We all went outside. We started walking. I begged them that I am a widow. If you take us, what do you want us to do? They kept pushing us to run. I almost fainted.
She recounted that she and her children had been ill before the attack, and her daughters begged the assailants to let her go.
When we passed Angon Luka, my children came back and begged them to leave again. There I knelt down crying and praying.
While Mrs. Edward was released, the bandit kept the two sisters and the visitor, who later managed to escape after a brutal assault.
The guy cracked the gun, wanted shooting me. Then the elderly man among them, I told them no, they should not. They are neighboring villages. And I was still like, they should kill me. I'm not following them. Then my sisters have gone far. They told them to go. They should keep walking.
Priscilla, currently receiving treatment in the hospital, said she was beaten severely by the bandits after Mrs. Edward was released. She explained that the attackers continued assaulting her with their guns until she lost consciousness, causing them to assume she was dead.
That was how we started our journey for like 4 hours or so. At some point I was tired. I told them, Mama, I cannot continue this journey. Before I knew, he started flogging me. Why won't I continue the journey? Blah, blah, blah. Long story cut short, I was like, at this point, I can't follow them. They should do whatever they want to do. If they should just shoot me.
The family had previously fled Marabarido between 2022 and 2023 due to rising insecurity, seeking refuge in Narai community before returning in 2024, following relative peace under the Kaduna Peace model. Residents expressed alarm that the attack took place within a residential area, not in a remote bush, deepening fears among community members.
The entire community are not finding it easy because everyone is just here with not knowing what to expect next.
Residents have continued to call on security agencies to act swiftly to prevent further attacks and ensure the safe return of those abducted. Attempts to reach Kaduna State Police spokesperson DSP Mansur Hassan were unsuccessful at the time of filing this report. From Marabarido in Chukul local government area, Bella Musa reporting for Trust TV.
From Kaduna to Katsina State, a fresh wave of bloodshed has shattered the fragile peace in Faskari local government area of Katsina State. At least 20 people were killed with several others injured following a brutal attack by suspected bandits on Doma A and Doma B communities under Tafoki ward. The attack, which occurred on Tuesday, is believed to be a deadly fallout from a collapsed community-driven peace agreement.
What began as a fragile peace quickly spiraled into tragedy. Days earlier, residents reportedly killed a repentant bandit, allegedly a close associate of Kwashangarwa, a well-known peace broker in Faskari, and took his AK-47 rifle. Community members say the incident was reported to Kwashangarwa, who demanded the immediate return of the weapon to sustain peace in the area. But the rifle was never returned.
So unfortunate.
Do we really have a government? We have been abandoned. Bandits are killing us, dispossessing us. Abductions for ransom and rustling of livestock are daily occurrences. What about the peace deal? Where is it? We are tired of these heinous killings. The bandits operated freely for over 3 hours without any intervention. Even this morning, they returned, killed another person, and seized motorcycles from residents. What followed was swift and deadly. Suspected bandits stormed Doma A and Doma B, killing indiscriminately, injuring several others, and leaving devastation and grief in their wake. For security reasons, the victims' bodies were moved to Tafoki village, the ward headquarters, for burial. 19 were laid to rest here, while one was taken by relatives for burial in Doma B. Residents, overwhelmed by grief and anger, expressed frustration at perceived government inaction, describing the administration as ineffective and absent. Look, the worst part is that security forces were notified earlier that the bandits were planning this attack. Besides, how many hours did they spend in the community? Over 2 hours. We have military bases in Rwangudia, Mabai, and Funtua, all close to us. It is now apparently clear that the government cannot do anything to protect us, which is their number one responsibility according to the Constitution. But the government has failed. Kindly tell them that we are waiting for them. They promised us security 2 years ago, but it's still killings everywhere. The bandits called and promised that the killing of these 20 people is just the beginning. The atmosphere remains heavy with sorrow and fear. Many say the attack has destroyed months of relative calm, raising concerns that the collapsed peace deal could spark another cycle of violence in an area already battered by insecurity. Abdullahi Ismail, Trust Television News, Katsina.
In another reported case, gunmen have killed an assistant superintendent of police and 4 residents in a fresh attack on a Bandi community in Kwande local government area of Benue State. The Benue State Police Command confirmed that the officer attached to the 13th Police Mobile Force in Makudi died from injuries sustained during the attack. Police spokesperson DSP Edet Udeme said the divisional police officer in Jatoaka received a distress call after suspected bandits attacked officers and civilians in the community. She added that security forces have moved into the area to prevent further violence, while the Commissioner of Police has directed the Deputy Commissioner of Police in charge of operations to take charge of the situation. Meanwhile, troops of the Operation Hatlin Kai have uncovered and destroyed 3 major ISWAP detention facilities hidden in the Timbuktu Triangle Forest across Borno and Yobe states. The military said the facilities could hold up to 300 captives and that over 70 detainees escaped during gun battles between terrorists and advancing troops. Army spokesman Lieutenant Colonel Sani Oba confirmed that at least 32 ISWAP fighters, including senior commanders, were killed, while several others were injured. The operation, carried out under Operation Desert Sanity 5, marks a major breakthrough into ISWAP strongholds and is expected to weaken the group's control and funding sources. To the legislature now, the Senate has urged President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to adequately fund the nation's security agencies to strengthen the fight against banditry and other security threats across the country. This followed a motion raised under matters of urgent public importance by Senator Muntari Dandutse, representing Katsina South Senatorial District. It comes in the wake of deadly bandit attack on a community in Faskari local government area of Katsina State. The report.
Senator Dandutse recalled that armed bandits stormed the community, killing several residents, destroying houses, shops, and vehicles, and leaving many people homeless.
Not with grave concern that as at yesterday, Tuesday, 3rd February 2026, 35 people have been attacked and killed across Funtua zone. 24 in Faskari local government area, 8 people in Dandime local government, 2 people in Funtua local government, 1 person in Kankara local government area of Katsina State in less than 24 hours.
Contributing to the debate, Deputy Senate President Barao Jibrin stressed the need for the military to step up operations to curb the menace of banditry, describing the attacks as unacceptable. For his part, Senator Mohammed Mongono, the Senate Chief Whip, emphasized that addressing security challenges remains a core responsibility of the Senate, noting that insecurity poses serious threats to food security and national stability. He urged the President to direct the military to secure affected areas. Senator Wadada Ahmed of SDP Nasarawa West, in his contribution, warned against negotiating with bandits, describing such actions as dangerous and capable of emboldening criminal groups to inflict more harm.
My concern is, 1, the issue of negotiation with bandits, because just 2 weeks ago or so, the governor of Katsina State, where this senatorial district falls under, had negotiated with bandits. And today, we have a colleague here crying foul for what had happened to his people. So what has the negotiation translated to now? It hasn't translated to the needed and required peaceful results or atmosphere we want. So we should stop by all means negotiating with bandits, and we should be reminded that security is for all.
One of the primary responsibility of any government, first and foremost, is to secure the lives and properties of the people. So against this backdrop, this motion is apt, relevant, and germane in the discharge of our constitutional responsibility of legislating for the peace, order, and good governance of the country. Again, as rightly alluded to by both the sponsor of the motion and the Deputy Senate President, that this area in question is an agricultural heartland, where a lot of foodstuffs and cash crops are being produced.
The Senate President, Godswill Akpabio, in his reaction, called for the endorsement of the use of sophisticated drones to monitor and secure prone areas. He also expressed concern over a viral video allegedly showing local government officials negotiating with bandits, calling for urgent public sensitization on the need to report suspicious activities to security agencies.
And to say that we in the Senate are with you, we share the same opinion. We are of the opinion that this banditry should end. In fact, on the 1st of January, my prayer to God, and which I spread to the nation, was that banditry and insurgency should end this year. By the grace of God, 2026 will not see our end, but rather we shall see the end of 2026 and the end of banditry. That's our prayer.
The Senate further urged the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and National Emergency Management Agency NEMA to immediately provide relief materials to victims of the Katsina attack. A minute of silence was observed in honor of those who lost their lives.
Joining us via Zoom to discuss the rising security situation in the country, particularly in the north, is a security expert, Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali, if you can hear me, thank you for joining us.
I can hear you loud and clear.
What do you make of this apparent increase in banditry and other security challenges, particularly Kaduna, Katsina areas?
Well, Nigeria is currently navigating a period of heightened security challenges, which is a byproduct of the economic desperation that the bandits are being faced with. Because as early as yesterday, 3rd February 2026, there have been these several and significant incidents involving banditry and mass abductions across the northwest and north central geopolitical regions. If we take the Wuro village massacre of Kwara State, which had previously been relatively stable compared to its neighbor, Niger State. And Wuro village is situated in Kayama local government area. As we speak this evening, not fewer than 162 people have been killed by elements the state described as bandits, but our own findings reveal that they are members of the Ansaru group. And we should all understand that the Ansaru is a breakaway faction of Boko Haram. So it is not bandits actually that did the massacre in Wuro village in Kayama local government of Kwara State. They are members of Ansaru. That is why they were telling some of their abductors that they should renounce the constitution and uphold La ilaha illallah. So government needs to sit up and something has to be done, and quickly too. Then
as a security expert, what will you suggest should be done quickly?
They killed.
What will you suggest should be done quickly?
They have burned houses, shops, and so many other, including, in fact, as we speak now, Kudu, the emir of the traditional ruler of that village, Alhaji Salihu Umar, is yet nobody can really say with certainty his whereabouts. So these are some of the things that are actually bedeviling us, and something has to be done quickly, particularly to identify the whereabouts of Alhaji Salihu Umar, the paramount ruler of Wuro village. Then if we come back to Katsina State, the Katsina State has been a flashpoint of banditry of recent, although there are attempts to engage the bandits under the leadership of Isiakwa Shangarwa to negotiate. But what we actually fail to understand is whenever we are to negotiate, we should negotiate from a position of strength. We must not fear to negotiate, neither should we negotiate out of fear. And in the course of negotiation, money must not exchange hands. And we should also insist that there should be DDR, disarmament, demobilization, and reintegration. But in what I was done in Katsina so far, I think the concept of DDR is not taken into consideration. And this is why these people came to the meeting venue with their arms. And after the so-called negotiation, they went back to the forest with their arms. So what have we negotiated? So something has to be done to revisit these things. I oversaw Ahmed Wadada in the Senate saying this issue of negotiation really has to be put off. Certainly, it has to be put off because there is no reason why these people will come. They will be given money under the pretext that they have agreed to live in peace. They have agreed to distance themselves from banditry and kidnapping, but yet they have not surrendered their weapons. So since they are still holding weapons, I think it is good to fight them to finish rather than wasting time negotiating and 2 or 3 weeks after they come back again to attack and kill people.
Yeah, when you say something quickly must be done, what do you mean by that? Because you are a security expert, so please educate us.
Yes, you see, the incidents, particularly if we look at Paskari local government, Paskari is controlled by Isiakwa Shangarwa. Isiakwa Shangarwa is a young man. He's just 28 years old. I had the singular privilege to discuss with him previously, and he has agreed to surrender weapons. But I think at the time this present regime came on board, we've not been able to go in and really talk to them. But looking at things from a distance, I think government needs to do a lot, particularly our security services. There are gaps in terms of response. So we need to recheck and see how best we can correct those gaps in terms of response. So the response mechanism is a little bit lacking. And until and unless we're able to correct those things, certainly these bandits will be taking us for a ride. And secondly,
thank you so much, Ali. We need to stop you there because you appear to have so many ideas. We will, of course, get back to you when the need arises. Thank you so much for your insights. Muhammad Ali is a security expert in Kaduna. Moving on now to the Nigerian Senate. The Nigerian Senate has rejected the proposed amendments that would have made electronic transmission of election results compulsory, opting instead to retain the existing provisions from the 2022 Electoral Act. During plenary session on Wednesday, senators considered the bill for an act to repeal the Electoral Act number 13, 2022 and enact the Electoral Act 2025. The key proposal, or the proposed clause, the new clause 60 sub 5, that will have required presiding officers to electronically transmit polling unit results in real time to INEC's IREV portal after completing Form EC8A was rejected. The Senate retained the 2022 framework, which mandates manual completion, signing, stamping, and distribution of results to party agents and security personnel, with the results announced at polling units and transferred in a manner as prescribed by the Commission, without mandating the electronic transmission. Still on INEC, the Independent National Electoral Commission has assured Nigerians of its readiness for the 2027 general elections, despite delays in amending the Electoral Act. INEC Chairman Josiah Amupitan gave the assurance at a consultative meeting with civil society organizations in Abuja. He said the Commission has finalized its election timetable and urged residents of the FCT to collect their permanent voter cards ahead of the area council elections scheduled for February 21st, 2026. Professor Amompita added that INEC has concluded preparations for the polls, including training of ad hoc staff and configuration of beavers and other devices, while sensitive materials will be delivered a day before the election.
We are mindful of the growing interest and anticipation surrounding the release of the timetable and wish to assure the political parties and the Nigerian public that the timetable and schedule of activities for 2027 general election has been finalized by the Commission. We have hesitated a little bit because we have the timetable already, but there are some proposed amendments that will affect the timetable. We seek your support in urging the National Assembly to expedite action on the ongoing amendment of the Electoral Act. We have hesitated a little bit because we have the timetable already, but there are some proposed amendments that will affect the timetable. But if the process is delayed any further, we may have to go with the extant laws. The Commission will soon embark on a nationwide voters' revalidation exercise ahead of the 2027 general election.
Still on INEC and the Senate's rejection of the electoral amendment bill, or rather the provision that will have made it compulsory for INEC to electronically transmit results. We are being joined by Oluwafemi John Adebayo, Head of Research and Strategy, Kimpact Development Initiative. Mr. Adebayo, thank you for joining us on News Hour. Yeah, as someone who has been on the trail of this development, the electoral process, the provisions for the amendments and what have you, I know you are disappointed that this happened.
Yeah, it's extremely disappointing. It is for me. It is concerning. Really, it is more like a pitiable state. I don't know what English to use because English is failing me. But I think in terms of what has happened this evening around this, the basic point that it's very important for us to understand is, I think the Nigerian Senate did not prioritize the aspect of building trust. I think it's just a missed opportunity on the part of Nigerian Senate to be able to ensure that the trust that Nigeria wants to have through this amendment process, in one way or the other, they did not, prioritize that. Because for me, after the 2023 general elections, we all know the reactions towards this process. We all know what came after it, depending on who, regardless of who you are representing or the interest of the person you represent or you support. So the point I'm making is just the fact that regardless, we all know what the reaction looks like. And for me, especially young people, they believe that the electronic transmission of election result is one of the things they need to be able to come out in 2027 massively to also be part of the process. But it seems the Nigerian Senate do not really care about this, and they do not care about building the trust of the people in the system. And this is really disheartening. This is really concerning. And I think the Nigerian Senate actually needs to do better, because this is a provision that most of the young Nigerians, regardless of who you supported in 2023, wanted to see in the new amendment or in the amendment or the new electoral act that would, be used or that will guide the elections or the framework that will be used to implement the elections in 2027. But whichever way, I think the journey it still continues. And I will also please urge Nigerians that as it stands today, the provision of the Electoral Act in 2022, if you look at what the court said in after the 2023 elections, the court, it's more like a gray area that is not really clear. Today, I was reading section 41 of the Electoral Act that actually stated that INEC shall provide suitable boxes, electronic voting machine, and other electronic devices. It's in the current Electoral Act 2022. I think Section 61 of the Electoral Act, Section 61 of the Electoral Act also spoke about electronic transmission of result, and INEC should actually do that as they deem fit. I'm paraphrasing that section. But if you look at INEC guideline, that is where we can see INEC discretion, INEC way to conduct that they want to conduct the elections. That's the INEC guideline for the conduct of election 2022. Paragraph 38 of it said that in terms of collation or in terms of result transmission, that the Abduct staff, which is the poll worker, we use beavers to actually snap or scan the ECAT, and it will be transferred to the IRF. That is what INEC said. But as it stands today, the court says that INEC guideline is not part of the law, and Nigerians are urging the Senate to do that. House of Rep considered this, and they actually okayed it. They passed it, but the Nigerian Senate didn't, and it is really, really disheartening. It is concerning. But for me, I think now that we have two different versions, where you have the House of Reps and you also have the Senate version, which completely they are two different versions in terms of that clause of electronic transmission. I think now what is important is there is a need for an harmonization conference committee to be able to harmonize this bill. And the opportunity we have now as citizens is that we're also urging this committee to prioritize this aspect, most especially electronic transmission, because it will aid transparency, because it will build the trust of Nigerians to be able to be part of this process.
Yes, Oluwafemi, and I will put it to you that it is behoves on you, the civil society, to make sure that harmonization is done in favor of what you're advocating.
Yes, I completely agree with you, and we're doing our home part. You also will have, you're aware of so much of effort the civil society has put into this process, providing technical support to the National Assembly. And the time where we need to even show demonstration to say the delay from the Nigerian Senate is too much, we had to come out to the front of the National Assembly to say that Nigerians needed, we need to actually tell them that we need this urgently. And even at the point now where they actually didn't consider it, we are still going to continue either through civic action, either through dialogue, either through engagement. We're still going to continue it. It's basically of the fact that we want a free, fair, and credible elections. And the legal framework is very important for that. We'll continue to do that. But beyond that, I'm just saying that the citizens need to be part of this process, because each of these senators comes from different constituency. What happens if all of the citizens from different constituency engage these 109 senators at that level? It will also speak volume, because the Electoral Act is not just Abuja Electoral Act. It's the Electoral Act that will guide the elections, most especially 2027, which is important. And I want to hold Nigerians that we cannot separate ourselves from the process of governance. If you say you want to separate yourself from politics, politics will not leave you, even if you leave politics. Because policy from anybody in governance, in that process, a single policy can change the targetry and destinies of millions of people. And that is why it is important we need to be part of this, engage these senators at that level. We sent them there, and they're supposed to represent us and do what we want.
Yes, Oluwafemi, thank you so much. They are there as representatives of the people. It's a delegation of responsibility, and I think you, the civil society, are doing yours, but there is the need for you to put more pressure from our point of view here. The media is doing its own. We have given you the wherewithal to speak out and to advocate. So thank you so much for coming on News Hour. Oluwafemi John Adebayo is Head of Research and Strategy, Kimpact Development Initiative.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
This is News Hour on Trust TV. Coming up after the break. Doctor dies in Plateau after contracting Lassa fever from a patient. We have more news when we return. Don't go away. Welcome back to News Hour on Trust TV. Let's take a look at our top stories again. Kwara State communities on lockdown as soldiers, forest security guards deploy after deadly attacks. We also told you that Senate rejects electronic transmission of results. Moving on now, a senior resident doctor at Bingham University Teaching Hospital in Jos has died after contracting Lassa fever while treating a patient. Dr. Salome Oboyi, who worked in the obstetrics and gynecology department, developed symptoms 2 weeks after attending to a confirmed case and was admitted for treatment, but later succumbed to the illness. The hospital's chief medical director, Professor Stephen Anzaku, described her death as a painful loss, highlighting her dedication and professionalism. Plateau State Commissioner for Health, Nicholas Bumlang, confirmed a fresh outbreak of Lassa fever in Plateau, noting that 2 additional deaths in Kanam and Shendam local government areas this February. The government, in collaboration with the Nigeria Center for Disease Control, is intensifying surveillance, case management, and public awareness campaigns to curb the spread of the virus.
That time we never lost a staff for over four decades until now, that we lost a very beloved, very dedicated medical doctor, a senior registrar in obstetrics and gynecology. When she operated on a patient that came as an emergency, it was after the surgery there was a suspicion, but after some time she came down with some symptoms, and then we felt we should treat. And right from that time, we were very, very supported by the Plateau State Ministry of Health by providing some of the drugs that we need. Like
this year again, we now had another report that one doctor was admitted at Evangel Hospital in Bingham University Teaching Hospital. The doctor attended to a pregnant woman, did a cesarean on her, and eventually the woman developed fever and subsequently died. And so this doctor now also fell ill and was admitted. And so we had to again try to investigate. She was confirmed positive for Lassa. And of course, we had challenge of procuring drugs, but to the glory of God, His Excellency, the Executive Governor, provided some funds for us to buy the drugs, which we took to the hospital. And so she was on that medication. But you know that these are the times that the rats are going around everywhere. They are patching and urinating on things that are spread, and particularly in the rural areas where people spread their foodstuff on tarred road and things like that. And these rats go urinate and pass on them.
The federal government has rolled out major water projects in Kano and Jigawa states to address water shortages and recurring floods in northern Nigeria. In Bichi, Kano State, a 1.5 billion naira dam is being supervised by the Hadija Jamari River Basin Development Authority, will boost irrigation, provide domestic water, and support livelihoods. In Jahun, Jigawa State, a new flood control measure is also being constructed that will shield communities hit by seasonal floodings. Abdulaziz Ibrahim now reports.
In Bichi, years of limited water supply have slowed farming activities, leaving farmlands dry and households struggling to irrigate crops. The new dam project is expected to be completed within 36 months, with contractors already mobilized to site. Officials say dam and irrigation systems remain key to improving agricultural output, while residents describe the intervention as long overdue.
We are here to construct this dam so that to alleviate the challenges that the people of Bichi are passing through in terms of flooding, lack of water for domestic usage, and then this will boost agriculture through irrigation. Where we are standing, we have drip irrigation where we are using as a result of some challenges of water that we have. But when this dam is being constructed and completed, it will boost the agricultural production here in Bichi and by extension Kano State.
You know, this is a smart agriculture where minimum water is used and maximum production of crops is achieved. So as you can see, this is 1 hectare pilot scheme where we have obtained this 100 and we are going to escalate it to maybe 1,000. After the completion of this dam, it will be able to irrigate 5,000 hectares down the stream. So this is a very big project, which, as the Minister has said, will improve the economy, generate employment, and increase food production, that thereby meeting the Mr. President agenda of food security in the country.
In Jahun, Jigawa State, perennial flooding has displaced families and destroyed farmlands and homes year after year. Experts say river overflow and poor drainage worsen the impact, but the new flood control project is expected to offer lasting protection for the area.
For decades, the community of Jahun has been endured with the disaster affected by erosion and flooding. And this has caused a lot of challenges to livelihoods, destruction of farmlands, and this has also threatened the economy and the well-being of our people. So today, I'm pleased to say that this long-standing problem is being decisively addressed through the intervention.
The finality of this event is very clear. We are securing the land and empowering the people to use it optimally. This is a holistic approach that the renewable agenda demands. I try to contractors, your work must be timely, of the highest quality, and then with a deep sense of responsibility to this community.
Residents describe the intervention as timely, saying their livelihoods have suffered repeated setbacks and they hope that the project will be completed on schedule. Abdulaziz Ibrahim, Trust TV News, Kano.
The Nigeria Railway Corporation, NRC, is implementing significant reforms to enhance service delivery, focusing on infrastructure modernization, increased safety, and operational efficiency. Speaking during a courtesy visit to the Media Trust Group headquarters in Abuja, the managing director of the NRC, Dr. Kayode Okpefa, said the agency is reviving the deteriorating rail infrastructure across the country to make it more efficient. Trust TV's Yusuf Akogu reports.
The managing director of NRC said he appreciates the impact of daily trust coverage of the Nigerian Railway Corporation's activities. According to him, collaborating with one of the biggest media in the country will strengthen its operational efficiency.
If a news medium repeatedly carries your story, regardless of what you think, that means they are watching you and they have interest. And personally, it's the culture we are preaching in Nigerian Railway too. We no longer see challenges, we see opportunities. So for somebody to show interest in whatever you do, regardless of what you think, it's an opportunity for you to get closer and explain yourself better so that you maximize that interest for them.
On its effort in ensuring services on Abuja-Kaduna Rail Corridor, NRC boss stated that the target is to return to 3 trips daily.
All we have decided is to use the old timetable of Friday, Saturday, Sunday. As soon as they clear the security one, if there are issues, we will eat into 6:30. And because of that security, we can't.
The Group Chief Executive Officer of Media Trust Group, Ahmed Ibrahim Shekarau, while commending the Nigerian Railway Corporation for reviving rail infrastructure across the country, say he looked forward to more collaboration with the agency.
When there are very obvious facts presented before us, all we do is let's go to the NRC and let's get its own side and then balance the report, and if it is on TV, we do the broadcast. If it is in the newspaper, we publish.
NRC say it is deepening its partnership and collaboration with various state governments to ensure that all Nigerians benefit from rail services across the country. Yusuf Akogu, Trust Television News, Abuja.
From the foreign scene, the appeal trial of accused Franco-Rwandan genocidaire Claude Muhayima has opened in Paris. Muhayimana was convicted in 2021 for complicity in genocide and crimes against humanity and sentenced to 14 years in prison. Prosecutors say he transported Hutu militiamen to massacre sites during the 1994 genocide in which over 800,000 Tutsis were killed. The defense argues he was not present at some of the killings and acted under coercion. The trial is expected to run until the end of February. For sports now, let's join Kabir Lawal.
Athletes and other stakeholders are counting down to the second edition of Niger Delta Games, with just 16 days to the landmark event that is set to reshape sports development and youth empowerment across Nigeria's oil-rich Niger Delta. Organized by Niger Delta Development Commission (NDDC), the Games will bring together young athletes from the 9 states of the region in a vibrant showcase of talent, unity, and pride. For decades, the Niger Delta has been known worldwide for its platform wealth, but its abundant youth talent has often gone unnoticed. The NDDC Niger Delta Games aim to flip that narrative by creating a platform where young men and women can compete in a whole range of sports, uncovering raw talent, fostering peace, and sparking healthy competition across the region. The second edition of the multi-sport festival will feature athletes, football, basketball, volleyball, wrestling, table tennis, and traditional local sports. Stadiums will burst into life with chants, cultural displays, and the bright colors of each participating state, highlighting the rich diversity of Niger Delta. Spectators can look forward to thrilling contests and a festive atmosphere that celebrates the region's unique heritage. More than just a competition, the Games are a tool for social integration, bringing together youth from various ethnic and cultural backgrounds. Many participants describe the event as a life-changing opportunity, offering exposure, discipline, and hope for future professional sports careers. The NDDC emphasizes that this is not a one-off event but a long-term vision to reduce youth restiveness, promote teamwork, and channel youthful energy into productive avenues. Talent scouts, coaches, and national team selectors will be on ground to identify standout athletes who can be nurtured for national and international competitions. This pipeline aims to elevate the region's presence on the global sports stage, proving that the Niger Delta, not only in oil, but also in talent, resilience, and potential. As the curtain rises on the second edition of Niger Delta Games, the message is clear. The region is ready to showcase its next generation of champions. That's Sport News. I am Kabir Lawal. That's Sport News. I am Kabir Lawal.
And that concludes News Hour for tonight. Thank you for watching. Do not forget to follow us across all our media platforms and join our YouTube live stream for more news. I'm Muhammad Kuda Abubakar. Good night from me.